Good evening. I am hereby calling to order the meeting of the Sebastian City Planning and Zoning Commission, December 18th, 2025, and we will begin.
I think, no, you need it closer, I think.
Thank you. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Garton.
Present.
Ms. Cottenberg.
Here. Mr.
Carter. Present. Mr. LaRusso. Mrs. LaRusso. Miss LaRusso.
Here.
I'll get to it. Mr. Reno.
Here.
And Ms. Giese.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of announcements before we begin the rest of our meeting. And the first is we offer our congratulations to Mr. Reno, who is now a permanent full-time member of our committee. And we welcome you. We also welcome Mr. Roy Garton, who is now filling Mr. Reno's previous position as an alternate. And at tonight's meeting, both Ms. Battles and Ms. Kinchin have been excused from tonight's meeting. So our alternate members, Mr. Roberts and Mr. Garton, will be voting in their place. Okay. The first order of business then this evening is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. I think you've all had an opportunity to go over the minutes and review them. If you have any deletions or corrections, speak now, or we will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of November 6th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. The minutes are accepted. On our agenda tonight, we have, if anybody disagrees with me, let me know now, but item number 7A is a preliminary replat, and the applicant has requested that that be tabled. If anybody doesn't have an objection, I'd like to make that the first item on our, so in case anybody's here for that, they can leave early, or instead of waiting until the end. Any objections? Okay, then that will be our first item. And I guess I have to open that hearing in order to...
Well, Mr. Chairman, let's make it formal, and we'll ask the city attorney to read the item into the record, open the public hearing.
Okay.
And then Jim will add to that record regarding the request to table.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's just a matter of a formality in order to not have to engage in future advertising. So this is item 7A, and this is scheduled to be a public hearing recommendation to City Council for a preliminary replat, Maxwell Schuman Commercial Subdivision, replatting 1.93 acres consisting of 8 lots to a 2-lot commercial subdivision with proposed stormwater tracts, ingress and egress easements, necessary improvements, and including previously agreed upon off-site improvements. The current zoning is CG, Commercial General, and future land use is CG, General Commercial. So now that this item has been requested to table and the commission has agreed to that, we do have to table it to a date and time certain in order that the public has ample notice as to when this item will actually be heard.
Okay.
Thank you.
The request is that this item be tabled to January 15th, 2026, which is when it will appear.
And just for the record, put the time at 6 p.m., regular time. for the
Okay,
meeting.
6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll get here early if that's okay, though. Okay.
If you could entertain a motion to table that and get a vote of the commission. It can be a roll, it doesn't have to be a roll call vote,
Okay.
just a voice vote.
Could we have a motion to table this item?
I'll make a motion to table the item for the preliminary replat of the Maxwell Schuman Commercial Subdivision
I second it.
to January 15, 2026 meeting at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Before we begin the next meeting, which is a quasi-judicial hearing, I note that we have a number of people in the audience, some of whom may not be familiar with our procedure. So I'm just going to go over it real quickly. Anybody who will be giving testimony tonight, we want you to speak your name very clearly, and if it's anything other than Smith or Jones, spell it out so that Janet can get it correct. And we do have oath cards. Are we still using the oath cards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're going to give testimony tonight, we have a card on a table at the back. You need to fill it out. It's very brief. It's just so that we have a record of who was here and what they said. Okay? The time allotted for input from the public is 3 minutes per person. And we do time those because otherwise we'd be here until Christmas, and I don't want to do that. So if you have information, we definitely want to hear from you, but it's not always necessary to repeat the same information numerous times. Okay? Thank you. Okay. I hereby open the Planning and Zoning quasi-judicial hearing, and if our attorney will read it for us.
Thank you. This is item 6A. It's a quasi-judicial public hearing, a new site plan with conditional use permit and waiver request, Amaron Boat and RV Storage Facility, 45 Ashbury Boulevard. It's 3.8 acre development along with associated site improvements, CG General Commercial Land Use, CG Commercial General Zoning District, conditional use approval for an outdoor storage facility within the Sebastian Triangle Overlay District, waiver from Triangle Riverfront Overlay District prohibited front yard fence materials.
Okay, thank you. Have any of the members of the commission any ex parte communication to disclose any conflicts or any site visits?
No.
Okay. City clerk to swear in. Is the city clerk? You ready to do that for us?
You do? Oh, yeah. For me? Should I swear? Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be, we need the oath card. The oath card has an oath for you. So if you've signed out an oath card, you don't have to swear in. But anyone who hasn't signed an oath card, you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. the applicant will make a presentation, please.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Schulke, S-C-H-U-L-K-E. I am the engineer in this project. I'm with Schulke, Biddle and Stoddard. I'm here tonight with William Brognano, who is the applicant, and as well as his attorney, and here to present our application. Of course, we're applying for an application for a site plan approval for outside storage facility. It also requires a conditional use permit because we're in the riverfront overlay district. And we went through the staff report. We concur with all their findings. It's been a process. We've been at it about a year, maybe a little over a year with this application. We met many times with staff going over the landscape requirements, the special requirements for the conditional use permit, which you all, I believe, the conditional use permit requirements for the storage use in the riverfront overlay district. You all voted on that about a year and a half ago, and so did City Council. You should be familiar with that. But one of the main things was the buffering, the minimum 20-foot buffer. And of course, we provided that a little bit more in some of the areas. We're also requesting a waiver in that buffer. And the one waiver, the attorney Jonathan Rodovic's here and requested a waiver because within that buffer, within the 512 overlay district, it specifically doesn't allow chain link fences. And if you really look at, I believe, in my opinion, the riverfront overlay district, typically the overlay district is on the other side of the railroad tracks, and you have these homes and these buildings and commercial sites that are very close to the road, and they want aesthetic fences and stuff like that. But in this particular case, we're talking about a storage facility where you want a 20-foot buffer, and it's a vegetative buffer. We're keeping all the vegetation. We're putting this, the chain link fence, if you will, on the back of that buffer, and it's black. And in most municipalities and counties that I work in, when you're required to have a vegetative buffer like that, and you do also want to have it fenced, they actually require it to be a black chain link fence because you can't see the fence through the vegetation. So it makes 100% sense, because it's behind it, a black fence, you can't even see it. Where if we had a white PVC fence, it may not look right, especially with all that nice vegetation that we're preserving. So that is the one waiver they had asked for, that they requested. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward site plan. As far as the storage use, we're accessing off of Ashbury Boulevard. We are providing a lot of landscaping, way more than I think code required with our calculations and what have you. We've been through it with staff. The stormwater system contains the 25-year storm. We do not outfall into Ashbury Boulevard. There's going to be no impact to the residential subdivision near us or even that road. We outfall our stormwater into 512. We got our permits already from all the jurisdictional agencies. We're really ready to break ground. We've got our St. John's Environmental Resource Permit. We've got our drainage permit connection with the 512. We've got all our environmental permits. We've worked through everything with the city, and I think what the city would like to see before we get started is, I think, Dory, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they would see some modifications of the lighting plan, change the type of lighting heads. I believe they want to see just a modified irrigation plan, but neither of those things I think are consequential to what we're trying to get approved tonight and what you're looking at. I think it's pretty straightforward. You may have questions on the use and, I guess, storage. I would say if you're familiar with the storage facility on 512 near the railroad tracks, not in in the county, there's an outside storage facility there. It has the roof covered facility where they park, and it's kind of similar to that. However, we've gone to the extra step, which is required by your code, to actually put a nice roof on the buildings, the canopy structures that are adjacent to the road. So that's what you're seeing instead of just a flat metal structure. So we've had to comply with a lot of these overlay district requirements, and it's kind of hard because they were really written for buildings, and the aesthetic and stuff like that. So we were to work with staff. We were to make the buffer requirements work. We were able to make the roof and coloring requirements work on these type of structures. And I can tell you, I don't think you're going to really notice it. The traffic is minimal. We expect 78 trips per day. We should have really no impact to the Ashbury subdivision. And I think, the funny thing is, when I drive by all the time, and even when I first started working on the project, I thought, wow, we're right behind Ashbury. But if you actually looked at a map, we only share 84 foot of frontage with Ashbury subdivision. And the only place we even touch Ashbury subdivision is behind their clubhouse. And their main clubhouse is actually to the west, and all we are is adjacent to vegetation in the Ashbury subdivision. And if you guys want to see that, if it's that pertinent to what you're considering, I can show a blow up in an aerial I can either hand to you, or we could put, if you have the Elmo here, I could show you that it's, and I think a lot of people, when you drive by 512, you think that, oh, this project is right next to Ashbury subdivision. But it's actually a kind of a funny shaped property, and we're not adjacent to the subdivision like most people would think. We are not behind any homes whatsoever, and only behind the clubhouse a little bit. And Dory, do you guys have an Elmo still? Or?
Yeah, you can put it under that.
Okay. So here's our site. 512's here, Ashbury Boulevard's here, our entrance is going to go on here. You see, we only have 84 foot of common frontage with Ashbury subdivision. This is their clubhouse, this is their pool, and actually they just have landscaping right here. So we're not even behind any of their houses. And I know a lot of people out here may have concerns that we're putting stuff right behind their homes. We're really not. And I think there's a misconception when you're driving by, as I had that misconception when I first started this project. We're right behind Ashbury, but we're really not, because the property is odd-shaped. So I wanted to point that out to you too, and everybody else, that we're not really as close as I think some people might think. So I thought that might benefit you to see, and maybe benefit some of the people in the audience. So we're providing large buffers, 20-footer plus. We're preserving a lot of existing vegetation. As a matter of fact, we work with Dory and the staff to try to preserve as much of the vegetation on our perimeter as possible. And where we are impacting it, we're actually supplementing that and planting natural stuff back. So we're going to have a native buffer around the entire perimeter. So it's really going to be nice looking. It's at least 20 foot back or further. We have the chain link fence, and that's primarily for security reasons. You won't need to see that fence. It's black, it's 6 foot, it's behind the vegetation, which is going to be, 4, 6, 8 foot tall, in the taller pine trees and the palmettos, which are mature. So you won't even see that fence. And the vehicles themselves that are entering far from Ashbury subdivision entrance. The entrance is here where the median is in Ashbury. Their gate is here. And the median comes in here, so we're far from them. And again, I want to point out, we're only putting 78 daily trips on the road, according to the ITE 5th generation traffic manual. Whereas Ashbury's got 1,900 trips on that road. We're only putting 78 on that road. So there's a minimal impact in that regard. We're providing a good buffer. It's a allowable use. We meet all the conditions. We are asking for one waiver. I think the waiver makes sense because I don't think you would want to see a big white PVC fence behind the vegetation. That might appear in here or there. The black fence will totally disappear in the vegetation. Generally I want to speak about that. Any specific requirements or any specific questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them either now, and I would like to be able to come back out if needed to address any of the public's questions as well. Also, the attorney's here and the applicant is here if you have any questions for them.
Okay. Thank you. Pardon me? Do you want to ask a question now, or do you want to wait till the deliberations?
I'll wait.
Wait for our deliberations.
Yeah, if it's okay, Chairman, if we can follow that list on the quasi-judicial procedure, and there's definitely be time for questions from the commission. I can't remember if it's before public input or after, but definitely, and we'll be able to answer Joe and myself also.
Okay.
Sometimes somebody else's question ignites another one in our minds.
Yeah. Well, I'll write any questions down that I think that you guys might want to hear an answer from me later on.
Thank you.
But it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope I can answer questions for you.
Thank you. Staff presentation, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to go over a little bit more of the specific code details that we have listed in our staff report that are important to get part of the record. As Joe did say, this is a three-step type of approval tonight, or request for approval tonight. Site plan approval. This is a conditional use in this zoning district, and they're also asking for a waiver from the overlay district. Remember, the overlay district is overlaying codes on the general, over the general code. If this was a request for relief from the general code, it would be a variance before council, but this is a request for relief from the overlay district stuff, so it is, the code allows you to grant that waiver tonight regarding this fence barn. The site is almost 4 acres. It's 3.8 acres. The total impervious area, the code requires a maximum of 80%. Their impervious area is at 59%, so this is not totally maxed out on their impervious. They're required to have a 20% minimum of open space. They are presenting 41%. They have met, there's some additional setbacks. CG zoning district has kind of loose and small setbacks, but part of the conditional use criteria is minimum of 20 feet from any setback, from any property line. And also because of that small property line that's abutting Ashbury, that was required to have 30-foot setback. But that, I believe, is an area of a stormwater. So there isn't any structures that are going to be close to that. In fact, they're actually 110 feet, any structures, buildings from the property line that abuts the actual Ashbury subdivision. The office building is going to be about 14 feet high, so this is not a tall building. That district allows 35 feet maximum, so they're not even close to that. And the canopies are between 16 and 18 feet is what visually you'll see in terms of the buildings. There are going to be 93 spaces for storage. The office requires 3 based on its square footage. Conditional use criteria only allows them to have up to a 400 square foot office. They're coming in at 353, so they only need 3 parking spaces, and the elevations of that building does meet the requirements. It's got a pitched roof. They put some decorative shutters on the building, so that met the code, Riverfront Overlay District code also. Because this is commercial, abutting both the public service, the school to the west. For me, we kind of use the Ashburys to the north. They required an type A opaque buffer, but the requirement from the conditional use that had to have a minimum 20-foot vegetative buffer is going to meet that requirement. So it is, if you've been to the site, it's a pretty thick buffer. So that 20 feet is going to meet that type A requirement that's required in the Land Development Code. Joe did mention that there is going to be a surface, the stormwater system. They have 2 ponds. They are connected with some piping. Then there is piping that will run underneath the driveway. They're going to do a series of shallow swales in the buffer area. That does require a little bit of disturbance to some of the plants. We have worked with them. There is some notation on that landscape page that any disturbance within that 20-foot buffer, they will replant. And the verbiage does kind of state it. It's not necessarily going to be 24-inch boxwoods or viburnum. They'll be putting in some native vegetation, some additional saw palmettos. That will be verified at final inspection. But it's a series of shallow swales, pipe under the driveway, and then there's another pipe that will drain that water into the 512 Indian River County drainage ditch. And they have already contacted the county and do have that permit to do that. So we had to have a few questions from the residents. None of that water will go into Ashbury Boulevard. Ashbury Boulevard drainage goes into the Ashbury subdivision stormwater. So that was verified that none of the stormwater from this site will be going into the Ashbury subdivision system. On page 6, we have listed what the conditional use criteria was. I'll just summarize them. We feel they have met all of them. No case said the setback be less than 20 feet. They meet that. The screening has been met with regards to the type A, and they have increased the landscape buffer. Normally, it's just a 10-foot landscape buffer that's required. They have provided 20 feet. Some of the other things are kind of with the use that this is a very passive outdoor storage. The automobile, trucks, and recreation vehicles can just be stored in the area that you see. If they were going to have another outside storage area where you could put containers or 18-wheelers, that would have to be specified on the site plan, and you would have to approve that. They are not, there is no area on the site where you're going to have that outside storage that's not underneath the canopy for some of that other stuff besides automobiles, RVs, and trailers. There can be no business tax receipt, so somebody can't open up a business in that place, say for detailing or something for boats and RVs. This is strictly storage. No other business tax receipt will be issued for that. No sales, garage sales, or manufacturing or repair is permitted within this site, and no storage of flammable or highly combustible hazardous materials or substances. That's the conditional use criteria. We feel they meet all of those, and staff feels that you can approve that conditional use request. However, there is also the commission, in reviewing that conditional use, is also supposed to, in your determination, that the use is going to be operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare is protected. It doesn't present an unduly adverse effect on other properties surrounding it. Based on the scale and intensity, that it won't generate unreasonable noise, traffic, or potential nuisances, other nuisances, that it conforms to all applicable provisions in the district that in which the use is located, and that it satisfies the specific criteria that I just went over. If you feel that it does meet all of that, then we recommend that you approve the conditional use. There's a few other things that I just wanted to go over because they lead into some of our recommended conditions of approval. Joe mentioned that based on ITE traffic engineering, that based on the area of the storage, that this is only projected to add additional 78 daily trips. Our threshold is 400, that it would have required a full traffic analysis. Reviewed by the county, it wasn't close to the 400, so we feel that the daily trips added to that is minimal. Again, this is just a generated from a calculation. I do not think that you will see 78 RVs and boats going out of that storage unit every day. The other thing that you'll note on the site plan, they're in the area to kind of towards the area of the stormwater against Ashbury. They have a washdown station, but they also had proposed an RV dump station where you could dump in your RV your gray water coming back from a trip. There's staff is confused too a little bit in that the Indian River County Utilities, it may be a new code, state code from this year, but you are not allowed to empty gray water into a sewer system. There is a code from the health department that states if you can connect to water and sewer, you cannot put in a new septic system, which would have proposed a tank that they felt they could come and have emptied every so often. So we're kind of in this gray area. One won't approve it, the other one won't issue any. It's on the site plan. It's an amenity. There's nothing in our code that states they have to have that dump station. So we're basically stating, have them work it out between the two jurisdictions, environmental health and Indian River County Utilities. If there is a way to get some sort of dump station in there, it's on the site plan. If it needs any permits, they'll certainly pull the appropriate permits. If they can't get that worked out, it's not going to affect the approval of a site plan or the site plan itself. It's just an area that they had for the dump station. The washdown area has already been reviewed by the health department. They're putting some sort of, there'll be some sort of screening on that or what's required from the health department. So they're okay with the washdown area. It's the dump station that may not come to fruition on the site plan, but it will not affect any approval that you have. The irrigation plan that you had, it is a sheet in there. There's still a few comments from staff that had not been addressed. We feel the irrigation only needs to be in the areas where there is going to be new plantings. There's a lot of buffer area that's not going to be disturbed, and that irrigation line on the plan that you have kind of shows in the middle of the buffer. We'd like it to be moved in the areas where it is, but we'll work with them, and we're requiring a new irrigation plan before we issue that commercial land clearing permit. That's another condition of approval that we have. With regards to the waiver, what the code requires is that it says in front yards, you cannot have chain link fences. So they do have two front yards along Ashbury Boulevard and Sebastian Boulevard. They are requiring this chain link fence, requesting a chain link fence, but again, the code says it can't be chain link. It can be wooden or PVC. I think Joe kind of explained it, and there is a request letter in your packet. It's going to be behind that buffer. If you do have, the code goes on to say that if you do have chain link, it does have to be black or green vinyl clad, and we feel it would be okay. It would be more awkward to have two different types of fences on this. There's going to be enough buffering that a wooden or PVC fence would be additionally providing. Staff feels we recommend approval, but again, that would be up to the board. The condition would be that, yes, it would have to be black vinyl if you do approve that chain link fence. Just a couple other things that are riverfront overlay districts. The lighting fixtures, the NEMA type that they have there's going to be 3 decorative lighting posts on light posts. They have lights underneath the canopies, but the plan also showed these lights that are extending from the canopy fascia. The code requires those to be decorative. The code doesn't require that you have to have them coming off. So if they determine that the lights underneath the canopies themselves provide enough lighting and they don't want to add those additional 11 fixtures that'll be outside off the canopies, they don't have to put them on. We just require that if they do, there's a condition of approval that they are decorative lighting and not just the Cobra heads, which are just the straight ones with the light down. And also we've had in the past, we will get a color sample printed on the computer for the roofs, and the actual blue or the colors turn to be much more brighter than what's approved. So we have been, with some of our last type of site plans, requesting an actual color sample from the manufacturer to verify that the color of the roofs are within the color sample. What they're proposing is very navy blue. We're sure it would be okay, but we'd like to have an actual color sample of that. With that, staff feels that they do meet all of the requirements of the code, the Riverfront Overlay District, the conditional use criteria. We are recommending approval of all 3 of those, and we have those 5 conditions of approval that I've just gone over. We recommend approval with conditions with those recommended conditions. I'm saying that wrong, but you guys know what I mean. That we have on the staff report. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. This is the time when the commissioners may ask questions of the staff and of the applicant. So.
No questions.
No questions?
Oh my goodness, you always steal mine usually. Okay. The fence. I would prefer green vinyl, green chain link instead of the black. That would make it even less likely to be seen. I wondered, in my travels, I don't know, the name Amaron is familiar to me. Do you have other facilities of this type in the area that I might have seen?
They're residential single-family home build, or not single-family, but they're general contractors.
Okay.
They have an office on County Road 512.
Okay, that's probably what it was. A lot of attention to the landscaping, which I appreciate. On page 4, Dory, the parking for the 353 square foot office.
Yes.
I understand 2 standard spaces. What is 1 HC space?
Handicap. Apologize. Yeah, I'll spell that out. But yeah, that's the handicap required.
Okay.
It's 1 space up to 25 spaces. So yeah, even if you required 2 spaces,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to add that handicap.
So that 353-foot office is not in addition to page 6 where it says 1 management office may be included, providing it does not exceed 400. So there's not 400 and 353, there's just the 353.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's below the 400
Yeah,
maximum, so that's why it meets that condition.
yeah. Okay. I have to ask, do we have any turtles?
So we did, in your packet, there was the environmental assessment.
Okay.
There are some tortoises on there, but we do already have the FWC relocation permit. So any tortoises on there. And
Be relocated.
with part of the process of the commercial land clearing is our environmentalists will go out there, just kind of verify, or theirs will verify that there hasn't been any additional tortoises since the time that permit was issued, but they already do have their relocation. All tortoises will be relocated off that site.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let me see if I have anything else. I was glad to see the traffic statement. When I was not on the board yet, quite a few years ago, Sebastian Crossings off 512 had a request for a lot out closer to 512 in front of the development that wanted to do a storage facility there. And the residents were all upset about the traffic. And it was hard to get it across that that is going to be much lower traffic than if it were any kind of dwelling, apartments or low-cost housing or something like that. So thank you for getting that in there. 78 a day, that's really very low, I think. Okay, irrigation. Please consider the green. Back to that. Thank you for catching that about the lighting. And I think that was all the only questions I had. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, sir.
Well, Dory actually answered my question about the dump station. I had some concerns about the dump station, but so you jumped the gun and totally cleared that up for me. I was wondering. Can you hear me now?
No. It has to be red. There. No, it has to be red.
Around the microphone. There we go.
Oh, now it's on.
Okay, there we go. For those who didn't hear me, I just had some questions about the dump station, but Dory answered those questions for me. I was wondering where it was going to be located, and I had some concerns about it, but since she already mentioned about the possibility that may not be able to happen, but are you going to consider, how many dump stations were you going to have if you could put them in, just the one?
I think I have to come up to the microphone to answer the question, but yes, it's just one location. And it's simply, what it looks like is just PVC pipe in about a 2x2 concrete area with a curb, with a cap, and it's just for them to connect their hose and dump, and it's not anything that looks bad or is an aesthetic issue or anything like that. And it's a cap, and it's a pretty simple thing. And there's one of them.
Very good. Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I was just concerned about spillage and things like that. But again, Dory answered my question for it. So thank you.
That's it?
I'm hoping that people that utilize this facility, there'll be a contract as far as you can't live in the camper while it's there and things of that ilk that may happen that people don't prepare for. Thing I'm wondering about, you said you access the facility from Ashbury Road, the break in the median. Will there be good, readable, directional signs so people can't miss it and wind up driving their RV up through this subdivision? I usually wind up being the driver, and if things aren't posted clearly, I can miss that turn.
I think it's going to be very evident where you turn in at the median there.
Good.
When you pull in. The Ashbury has their gates before, just to the, I would call it to the northwest of us anyway. So you're going to see that as well. But it's going to be very, very evident.
Great. And Dory, is there a time frame on a waiver?
On a waiver?
Yeah.
Sometimes we put one on if it's something, I know they're jumping into to want to start this soon, so we didn't see the need to add, a 2-year time limit on that. They'll be starting construction. I also want to add a little bit with regards to the entrance in that staff, and we did consider, we had some discussions on the queuing. If that 2 boats on a Sunday came in at the same time, they did push the gates. After our discussion, they did work with staff. They pushed the gates farther into the site so that you do have at least a queuing space for a boat and RV. And we were worried that if 2 came in this time, so what they did was originally proposed as just a single entrance. They widened that to that there is 2 lanes for 2 boats at the same time to come in, or RVs, so that there wouldn't be some queuing out into Ashbury Boulevard that would block that traffic. So if they do need to put any type of directional signage, Ashburnley Boulevard is a private road. There's a public access easement, but we will certainly, I would assume that they would reach out to the HOA board to see if a beneficial directional sign would help if it's decorative and within their landscaping, that could be something they would consider to do and could talk to the HOA on that.
Great, thank you. That's it. That's all I
Mr.
have.
Reno.
I'd like to know if there's going to be a water service at the washdown area. It doesn't, it didn't show on the plans. It does say that there's going to be a hose ring, but it didn't say anything about a water service.
Oh, I think it does say in that area, it does say wash area.
Yeah,
Wash
there'll just be-
area,
it'll
but it
just be
doesn't
like
show a water service. It doesn't
It'll
show.
just be a, like a hose bib and hose.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just not on the utility.
Typically, you put them on a timer in case they forget to close the valve. You turn it on and it'll shut off automatically in 5 minutes.
Okay. So the canopies are not going to have gutters? Basically, the range is going to run off the side?
So we'll look at that when those building permits come in. With regards to the canopies and the overlay districts regarding the pitched roof, we did dissect that code, and anything that was visible from the road, you'll see on those canopy elevations, they do have some pitched roofs, some of the parapet roofs on some of them that will be visible, so they will look pitched. I'm assuming, and I'll be honest, I haven't actually reviewed and jumped into the structural. Sometimes the stormwater will come down their support posts and then have flow out over the driveway. I'm hoping the grading will get that water into the retention ponds. They could add gutters with that. That'll be part of the manufacturing when we get those structural permits in for those canopies. We'll look at that.
Just as an observation, in the E canopy, it's close to the washdown area, so any excessive rainfall would go into the washdown area and may...
The owners may have some, or if they've worked with the manufacturer, they may have some additional information on the on roof runoff. I don't know if there's anything they can add to that.
The other question would be, in the environmental study that did mention Florida scrub jays, is that going to be anything that we have to add as part of the amendment to?
I apologize if it wasn't attached to that, but we did require a separate scrub jay survey.
Okay.
And I believe we do have something that stated there was no scrub jays or within the radius that would require any type of seasonal type of, probably if it was in a scrub jay area that the environmental noted, there would be certain times when they could not clear during nesting season. They'll be probably clearing before that, but there wasn't any indication that there was scrub jays in the area.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Okay. So, just piggybacking off of Ms. LaRusso's questions, as far as like on page 6, I really didn't see any restrictions about overnight visitors or people wanting to stay on their RVs overnight. Do we need to add that restriction, or is that something we have a conversation about?
You would hope nobody would stay in there. There's no electric hookups for any of them. There is the one that states that, let me see, no business tax receipt other than for the main use, storage, shall be permitted. So they could not get a business tax receipt or any type of, for campground or an RV campground type of thing. So if that is something that you want to just kind of shore up that use is not being in there, you certainly can add that as part of your approval. That in addition to the conditional use criteria, there shall be no overnight sleeping in any of the RVs or boats that are stored on site.
I'm just thinking, you come back from a long trip, you park your RV, you stay the night before you go back to your house type of situation, or you're wanting to...
Per code, that would not be allowed.
Cooking meals before you go home type thing.
Correct.
I need to tell you
It's a
that
slippery slope to a campground.
if people are sleeping in the Walmart parking lot, they'll be sleeping in this lot too. You can believe it.
So that can definitely be an additional condition of approval with regards to the conditional use that you can add.
I would like to put that in there when it's the appropriate time.
Anything else?
And did we ever talk about operating hours, people coming in and out? Does each client have their access to the building?
I'm going
Like through a
to have
code?
the applicant answer that. There's nothing in our code that stated, we certainly have conditions on when they can clear and construct, but in terms of when the gates are on, I don't know if the lights are going to be on a timer, when they can come in and out, that would be part of their business, and we certainly can get it part of the record if you would like them to come up and answer that. I don't have any information on that. If the gates are closed at 10 o'clock and you can't get in to get anything, that would be something if they want to answer.
Oh, yeah, I was just curious about that.
There will be 24-hour access for the gates. People come in at, they return from trips at any time. Fishermen, when you're fishing or going, maybe leaving, 4 or 5 in the morning to go fishing. Someone coming from a long trip may come back at 2 in the morning. You don't generally see that. And remember, we're only talking about 78 trips a day, if that really even happens. But we don't want to restrict the hours of the gates.
So they
It
punch in
would be
their code
impractical.
like a normal
Right.
facility? Okay.
Yeah, and no one will be living there or staying in the RVs. It would be prohibited. It's prohibited by the city, but also it's not a good practice. It's just a liability issue to have anybody there. There's not electric. They only have electric, a small, like a 15 amp service, so you can charge batteries. But there's nothing. They don't have enough electric to actually run a whole RV to be able to cook and do all that type of stuff. Now, of course, RVs do have some power on their own, but we're not making it easy for anybody to live there, and we don't want them to live there. It's a liability issue, and the city prohibits it as well.
And the above lights, they're on throughout the whole night, or do they turn off? Like the overhead lights?
I'd have to ask the applicant that. I'm not sure of that. I would imagine most of the lights would be off in the evening, late hours, but I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Roberts, if they are on all night, from the photometric plan, based on the proposed lighting, you'll see that as it gets to the property line, they're down to 0 lumens. So there is no lights that are going off-site from theirs.
So like the residents couldn't see it from these?
Right, they're shielded.
The neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you, Dory.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lights are shielded, so
Okay.
so you're not seeing that glare. They're like shielded down.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I do have a few questions as well. Let me start with part of what we are supposed to be assured of is that there shall not be any storage of flammable, toxic, or highly combustible or other hazardous materials or substances. By nature of what these vehicles are, we are storing flammable, toxic, and hazardous things on site. Unless you have to empty your gas tank and your LP gas before you go in. So they are there. I guess that's just part of the deal. But this doesn't fit, and I know. That's just me, but I was an RVer for a long time. I know quite a bit about it.
I think maybe the intent of that criteria was, though, so that there wasn't, and this did come from some of the criteria was taken from also from mini storage, that you didn't have a storage unit where you were storing 20 gas cans of gasoline. It would be similar to storing a lawnmower in a mini storage unit that possibly would have gas in that too. I'm presuming that some of the, I don't know if you want to call that's the storage if it's already on that boat or the RV. Certainly affects the liability of the site if there is going to be on that. But I think the intent of that was to not have somebody fill up a unit with a bunch of gas tanks or that they were selling from or that you stored 20 things. I think that was the intent of that. It's how you want to determine that, what that means, and if you have an issue with that.
I guess it might be a personal thing with me, because if you've ever seen a fire that happened from a refrigerator, because they run on LP gas, it's devastating, because those things are made out of the most flammable stuff in the world, and it goes fast. Anyway, I'll leave that. The washdown area, will there be reclamation of the water?
No, the washdown area, if you look at the grading plan, the grading of the pavement is such that the stormwater on all the pavement other than the washdown area goes into the inlets. and just the area that's identified as a washdown area drains to a curb, goes to an inlet, and goes into a oil and sediment, like a grease trap, if you will. And so it traps any of the floating debris, any sediment, stuff like that. And then from there, it'll go into the retention area. So you're basically getting the clean water from there. It's no different than washing your car in your driveway. And I can tell you, as someone that owns several storage facilities myself in Erie County, and I have RV dumps, and I have a place for people to wash their cars, and I have 150 units one site and 200 another. No one ever uses them. Very, very rare. You'll see more people washing their cars at home than in this particular place. But and the one thing that typically we do is on the hose bib, you put a timer on it so no one forgets to shut the hose bib off. You know, so it'll go off on its own, so we're not wasting water.
Okay. Thank you. I have one more question. The signage. Am I reading this correctly? We're talking about a sign that is 8 feet tall.
So the maximum height can be 10 feet. And most of the signs along 512, there's a couple of pole signs left, but most of those signs are about 8 to 10 feet.
Okay.
Don't forget, a 6 foot.
And these signs are going to be located on the private road, though, right?
No, it does show right there in the corner. It's closer to it's on their property. It has to be on their property. It's kind of right at the intersection where Ashbury Boulevard and Sebastian Boulevard meets. They've added the roof cap to be decorative. It's probably no bigger than the sign that they probably have where their construction office is. Again, those dimensions, the exact dimensions and all that will be reviewed at the building permit. But what they've proposed so far meets all code requirements.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I was reading it correctly. And
to clarify, the 8 foot is from the ground to the rooftop. It's not the sign itself that's 8 feet tall, the copy area. It's the whole structure that includes the base from the ground elevation to the top of the roof.
okay. This property has been located in the overlay district for how many years?
Since 2003.
2003. Thank you. Okay, I think that's all of my questions. Now we will open the floor to any member of the public who wishes to speak. And again, please identify yourself. If you're giving testimony, you need to have filled out an oath card, and you have 3 minutes to make your point. So, welcome aboard. And I do have to say, we are really happy that we have a lot of people here speaking up.
Good evening. My name is Jim Hunt, H-U-N-T. I'm a resident of the Ashbury community. And thank you for giving me a few moments to express some issues and concerns that I have with the property. One of the things that we were looking at is the purpose of the chain link fence was listed on their request as to ensure that they had aesthetically pleasing fencing around the property.
Excuse me, Chairman, I don't mean to cut him, Mr. Hunt, if we can start the timer. If we can start the timer. Sorry.
It's running.
It's running. It's steady here.
But you've got it at 30 minutes, not 3.
So anyway, the aesthetics of the entranceway that we have is going to be disturbed in its entirety by this project. So we want to make sure that any fencing that is in place there provides adequate coverage so that it's opaque. I walk by that area quite often, and you can see well more than 20 feet into the brush that's there now. And so I want to make sure that we don't find ourselves staring at RVs and the back of a building and such other things. Remember, these RV housings are, I believe you said 16 to 18 feet tall. The RVs themselves can reach 12 feet. And the fencing shouldn't be 4 or 5 or 6 feet. It should be more adequate. The traffic issues that we've been talking about with the minor amount of, the minor number of cars, I think has been understated, not so much in its volume, but in the fact that these are large vehicles. They're trucks or cars with trailers behind them that can reach up to 53 feet. These are not small vehicles. So when you queue up 2 or 3 of those, you can easily create quite a blockage in the 84 feet that they have available to them entering the Ashbury Boulevard. If they're in the approach lane, the turn lane that leads into Ashbury Boulevard, residents or others exiting our subdivision will not be able to see past them into oncoming traffic coming westbound on 512. We've recently had a fatality at that intersection. We don't know for exactly what the reason was, but the resident pulled out into traffic and was broadsided and died. We have some issues with the dump station. There's a reason that the county prohibits tying into sewer and putting in septics to compensate. And so from our perspective, and knowing that the connections are often sloppy, we would be opposed to having a dump station on site. I also use caution with the washout station because while the dump station was intended for gray water, which is essentially soapy water and dirt, the wash stations, I think, will also get more use than they're thinking about because people coming in with their boats will want to clean the bottoms, clean the hulls, clean the motors, and they'll be using soap. So it's dirty water and soap, essentially gray water, dumping into that clean out area. So it needs to be clear how that water will be treated before it makes its way into the Indian River Lagoon. We had some issues with the lighting, but I understand there's going to be 0 lumens near the border, so we're happy with that. The Gopher Tortoise survey, the last information I have was that it was completed in February of 2025, but the actual inspection was in December of 24, so it's well over a year old. There's conflicting language on the letter that the commission sent to the Amaron. The letter says 4 to 6 tortoises. The survey indicated 7 to 9. So we want to make sure that all of the proper tortoises have been relocated. And the fact that they have an additional survey coming gives us some hope with that. Thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Peter Sarasek, S-A-R-A-S-E-K. I'm a resident of Ashbury Subdivision. And I'm not going to repeat everything we've just heard from the prior speaker. I totally endorse all of his concerns because I actually was going to walk you through many of them myself. My primary concerns are I'm a homeowner. I live in that subdivision. We have a lot of traffic already generated by 193 residential homes in the subdivision. Not only the homeowners who are making daily trips back and forth, I'm one of them, but also all the trades that are servicing our homes. We've got a lot of moving vans coming in and out of there, bigger trucks, furniture deliveries, prime trucks, which are now the most populated vehicle that we've ever seen. And I could go on and on with all the other trades, but they occupy and take up a lot of the space in that entry apron, if you will. Ashbury Boulevard is a misnomer. This is not a fancy boulevard like Sebastian Boulevard. It's part of a street. And in the middle of the part of that street, we're now going to open it up and give an entrance to another development. Well, okay, then let's say, what's the impact of that development going to be on the apron that we have to drive through? People talk about, well, you're going to create 78 additional daily trips. We're talking about 78 trips by fairly huge vehicles. The boats are not just simply a simple rowboat going down the road. We're talking about boats with trailers. The trailers are going to be towed by probably large pickup trucks, which is what you typically see, if not a larger tow truck. I don't see any limit on the size of what the boat itself can be, other than to note that the canopies for this development can go up to 16 to 18 feet in height. So if that's the height that you can put underneath the canopy, picture the size of the boat that you could put under that canopy, and also picture the RV trailer that could go under that size of a canopy. I think you've got the potential here for a lot of very large vehicles suddenly appearing in the front of the Ashbury subdivision. And they're going to be competing for access into the subdivision, into their own development, as much as we homeowners are competing for access into ours. That to me is called traffic congestion. It's called the potential for safety concerns within that small community. And also, there's also significant safety concerns, I think, on Sebastian Boulevard. We're now going to permit to come onto Sebastian Boulevard, which is already hard to get across to begin with, or to enter with all the traffic coming from the railroad track area. You're now going to put into that whole congested area already, where we've had a fatality recently and almost weekly accidents, the possibility of 78 vehicles who are now going to have to exit Ashbury. So they're either going to take a right turn and merge into fast traffic of Sebastian Boulevard, or they're going to do the most daring thing imaginable, which a lot of us have to do, and that's try to cross Sebastian Boulevard with the potential of all this traffic flying up against you. That's what happened to the poor gentleman, I think, who got T-boned and has since passed away because of that. That is called, to me, a safety concern. We don't have that dramatic a safety concern currently because we don't have all of those 78 additional trips with huge vehicles coming into that area.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
No.
Yes, I can take it. I can take it, sir. I'm sorry.
Hey, my name's Greg Pronko. I live at 122 Barcliff Circle.
Would you spell your name, please?
Pronko. Lived here now 6 years. This is not a win for Ashbury residents. This is going to drive down the value of the properties, first of all. But aside from that, I mean, if you drive around the area, you got a RV storage, boat storage area going across from Krogel's right now. If you go down below Wabasso, there's 2 new storage yards there, plus 2 of them that have been there about a year now, maybe. I just don't know what the need to put another one in a residential area is. And then you got kids that are next door at the elementary school. Another thing is, until about a year ago, I had a 38-foot motorhome, and I towed my car behind it, went up north, usually during the summer. And so in all, it's about the length of a tractor trailer. So these are not small vehicles. And so I can't feature somebody trying to turn into this facility with me trying to get out of Ashbury through the gate. It's just, it just seems like there's going to be too much congestion to me. Another thing is, these yards, if you go, they sound really nice. Condev is nice. I kept my RV there for a little while, but all of these yards, if you go up US 1 towards Malabar, they turn into junkyards. People abandon their RVs or their boats, and they're derelict. I don't think, that's good for us as residents of Ashbury to have that outside our gates. Talking about the gray water tank, there should be a black water tank. Gray water is dishwater. Black water is sewer water. And there should be a place for the people who pull in there with RVs to dump their black water tanks. Again, I had one for a lot of years, so, you got to have some place to dump it. It just seems to me that the other thing is, and these other guys talked about that, there's been a lot of traffic accidents outside the gate. Like they talked, wasn't one too long ago, and somebody died, and they happen all the time because people don't pay attention to the traffic. I think the biggest thing I'm seeing is a decrease in value of our properties with this, and the difficulty of getting in and out of the gate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, we just can't have the applause, no cheering, no cheerleaders. Sorry. I had to say that just before you.
I was hoping. Hi, I'm Lee Burlingame. I'm a resident of Ashbury as well. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a concern with you. I noticed on the sheet that was provided to all of us, C400, there's an outlined area. It looks to be a square area, and it says, please reference see detail sheet C402. That highlights the area I think that's going to most impact us in Ashbury, which is the access and the egress from this property. Once again, it's been mentioned here earlier that these are large vehicles. This is a controlled access facility, and people will be going through. I can just foresee a problem with bringing in a large trailer. They're going to go to the access point. The trailer will be hanging out into Ashbury Boulevard. If there's any problems with the access, we're going to have a situation where somebody's going to be sitting there in the road for quite some time. I think this is an access problem for Ashbury as well as a safety issue for everyone concerned, frankly. Associated with that, my question is, if this is the case, why would it not be better to put entrance and exit from the facility on 512? Yes, the development would require culverts and entrance and exit lanes off of 512, but it just seems to me that that would be a whole lot safer than trying to put large vehicles into a small area. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, sir.
Burlingame.
Thank you.
What do I do with this?
I can take it for you. Thank you.
My name is Vicki Hahn, and I'm a homeowner in Ashbury.
Ms. Hahn, how do you spell your name?
Haun. A little history. Originally, Ashbury subdivision contained the two pie-shaped pieces on 512. When Clark Development walked away from Ashbury in 07, 08, he removed those two parcels from the Ashbury subdivision and left the HOA with a negative $5,000 in the checking account. I know because I was treasurer. I submit to you, Ashbury Boulevard belongs to the HOA. How is some outside entity allowed to utilize our private road? The HOA is responsible financially for the upkeep of the roads. So where is our remuneration for all of this traffic? I submit any exit and entrance should be 512, not on our property. There is no permission from the HOA for some outside entity to use our property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Scanlon, Scanlan. And I live in Ashbury. And today I was looking, because I was interested in finding out more about accidents that have happened on 512. And I didn't find much, and I didn't even find the one that just occurred where the young man died. But I did find something on a notable attorney law firm kind of looking to say, well, where, and the headline of this particular section is, where do car accidents most occur in Sebastian? And the first place listed is on Sebastian Boulevard, County Road 512. And the second paragraph of that says, the boulevard, handles significant traffic moving through Sebastian. It doesn't just cater to the local population, familiar with its twists and turns, but also sees a surge of out-of-town drivers, many of whom might be navigating it for the first time. This blend of local drivers with those less familiar with the boulevard leads to a unique dynamic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Henry Wall, W-A-L-L. I want to address the request for amending the waiver, actually, for the fence, changing it to chain link on the two road frontages. I just want to reiterate, it looked very innocuous in that picture that the engineer showed you of the Ashbury entrance, and his emphasis that he's only bordering on a little 80-foot piece. But really, that whole drive is Ashbury. And along that drive, we have been mowing that section of road that he's building off of. Within the gates, it's mowed to it's in a regular shape, but it averages 16 to 18 feet of mowed lawn. Outside the gate, it goes up to 22 and 25 feet. We've heard from the very beginning, we've heard from the development portion of the city and from them, this talk about a 20-foot vegetative buffer. There's no 20-foot the assumption is the whole buffer has got vegetation in it and it's going to buffer you from seeing this awesome RV park. But in fact, this vegetative buffer doesn't exist in portions of that. They're going to have to build it. There's been they have submitted generalized plan of what they'll do, and there's comments from both the city and them that there'll be a final inspection and they'll fill in places where they will not cover because of these things. In addition, inside the gates, in this 20-foot buffer area, there's going to be a swale to carry stormwater back out to 512 underneath the driveway. That swale is going to be not vegetative because it's already lawn. So there's not much chance for a huge buffer there. So I would ask the board to really consider this waiver to change that fence from solid. It could be a positive thing. There could be a plan put in place that shows the community of Ashbury what the plantings are going to be. Could be readily remedied, so forth. There is none. We're supposed to believe it's going to happen, and it may or may not. I don't know, but I'm not taking a chance. The other thing is, in your considerations, the city development charged this body with finding that the proposed outdoor storage does not present an unduly adverse effect upon the properties in the impacted area which is located. Well, I did a little research, and the average taxable assessment price of a home, it's not what we pay for taxes, because some are less and some are more, but for some reason, all in my neighborhood, every house is worth $294,000. So I carry it through 193 homes. It approaches $56 million worth of property. I think it warrants a less expedient progression of this thing without remedying some of these issues. The main one being we're kind of supposed to believe this thing isn't going to be intrusive. The application from the lawyer says, you know, it's kind of like defeating the purpose. It's not aesthetically pleasing. The RV place, I have an RV in a storage place. they're not aesthetically pleasing. I don't care where they are. You notice them all over the state. So that ship already sailed. So I would just ask you to reconsider and at least look at, putting some more stringent things in place to guarantee that the RV place fits the community that it's in front of. Not the 80-foot by the clubhouse, the whole rest of that road. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Alan Ennis, and I'm a resident of Ashbury.
Would you spell that, please?
Yes, my last name is spelled E-N-N-I-S. And just briefly, my professional background, I've been a registered professional engineer in the state of Florida for over 35 years. And I'm also a retired member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. And I worked for planning agencies in Lexington, Massachusetts, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Newport News, Virginia, and also obviously down here in Fort Lauderdale as well as in West Palm Beach. And I was a member of the Development Review Committee for the County of Palm Beach. I just don't want to repeat the comments that have been made previously. I have to say that I agree with those comments. Technically, I know that you don't require a traffic study for this type of project, but again, I think there are special circumstances involved here, and that's why I believe that they need to be taken into consideration. Generally, you don't access commercial property from a local residential street, and I can tell you that those other jurisdictions that I've worked for did not allow that under most circumstances. And because of the call box location for Ashbury, I think that complicates the whole stacking situation because the call box comes before you actually make the turn into the storage facility that's being proposed. And the distance from the curb of Ashbury Boulevard to the gate is only about 50 feet. So even if you have two RVs side by side, which I don't really foresee happening because you only got about roughly 20 feet, I think, of pavement there. And plus you have probably another call box in front of that gate. It could create a problem with stacking through that whole area and vehicles with their rear ends out onto Ashbury Boulevard, blocking traffic. As far as the buffers go, the design vehicle, according to AASHTO, is 12 feet high for an RV. And when you've got a 6-foot chain link fence, it really doesn't make much difference as far as screening the development from the street. So I will oppose the requested waiver from the overlay district. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Paul Speas, S-E-E-A-S. Thank you for allowing me to speak. First of all, I want to thank you because when this whole project started, the Planning and Zoning Board turned this project down a couple of years ago unanimously, if I'm not mistaken. And when it went to the city council, they overturned your decision and passed this to go forward. And I'm just here to reiterate what most people have already said. There are concerns. Lighting is a concern. The dumping station is a concern. Obviously, traffic is a concern. And I just ask you to bear those things in mind when you make your final decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Would the applicant care to respond to anything?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Jonathan Rodeback, R-H-O-D-E-B-A-C-K. I'm a local attorney here, and I represent the applicant. And I believe Mr. Schulke introduced me briefly when he got up here before. I just want to address some of the comments because when you are analyzing this issue, you're doing so from a legal perspective. And I'm not trying to step on your city attorney's toes in any way, shape, or form, but your decisions are based on not feelings, not what people think is going to happen, but what we call competent substantial evidence under the law. There is a high burden on applicants when these matters are submitted before you. There's engineering requirements, there are concurrency requirements. All of that analysis was performed, and the applicant has worked hand in hand with staff to address the real concerns that have been raised today. This isn't uncommon. Opposition to a project is not uncommon. For instance, when Ashbury was coming in and being applied for, this whole room was full of people opposed to the project and all the traffic concerns and how it was going to wreck the city of Sebastian, all the typical stuff that you typically see that comes with new development. The concerns that have been raised have been addressed by the experts with respect to traffic, with respect to access. We're talking about de minimis increase in traffic along that road. Why enter on this road? Because in 2005, that was a plat requirement. It was dedicated to the public for purposes of accessing these two property after Ashbury Boulevard. That is why this is being engineered to occur here. We're talking about 78 trips. Without context, we are talking less than 4% amount of the traffic that is going to be on that road. 96% of that, in excess of 96% of the traffic on that road is going to still come from Ashbury, even after this is developed. That is why when we say this doesn't meet the threshold, why there isn't this need for this traffic study. Some of the other concerns that were raised up, buffering, there is your 20-foot buffering on the side, the chain link fence. The chain link fence is designed to match the foliage that is going to surround this property, as shown by Mr. Schulke initially, where there is going to be any interaction with the Ashbury community. It's going to be in the rear of the clubhouse, not any of the homes, but in the rear of the clubhouse, which also has vegetation behind it. So this property, for the most part, is not going to be seen from the outside by their Ashbury residents. We have addressed the concerns, the applicant has addressed the concerns to mitigate the impacts that are going to be on the neighboring properties. That's why you have the substantial report that you do. Please rely on your staff report making your decision. This meets your land development code regulations. This meets the triangle overlay district regulations. It minimizes impacts. This meets all your conditional use requirements, and it's a project that makes sense. And for that reason, I ask that you respectfully request or grant the application that are being submitted for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. staff summary.
Just a little bit of clarification, since I know a lot of the residents brought it up. With regards to, and we're familiar with 512, if you do think about on that north side of 512, it has the sidewalk, it has the cypress trees, from pretty much, well, all of the entrances, anything of the roads going north are all local streets. You have the Louisiana Avenue, the entrance into Orange Heights, Powerline Road, or entrances into subdivisions. There are no driveways for commercial entities on that north side of 512. I do not know for sure, we did not speak to Indian River County, but I'm not sure of back in 2003 or 5, the developer did put a public access easement. The road is not public. From 512 into Ashbury, it is a private drive. But they overlaid on the plat, there is a public access easement, yes, for both of those commercial properties that are on either side of that road. For whatever reason, this particular property is not a part of Ashbury subdivision. The property, it's a 1 acre property on the other side of the boulevard, is Tract A, Ashbury subdivision. That tract belongs to Ashbury. When that gets to be developed, it's also zone CG. If they need to pay HOA fees, that's all within their HOA documents, but I wanted to clarify. I'm not sure why that public access easement was put on that public road. I have a feeling it has something to do with the drainage and that sidewalk that is on there that Indian River County may have come back and said, we're not going to give any driveway off of Sebastian Boulevard. And that's why this public access easement was overlaid over this private drive and for access for these two roads. Again, I can't speak to if they reached out to the county to see if they could get access from Sebastian Boulevard instead of Ashbury Boulevard. But I have a feeling that there is something that the county may have said back that said we're not going to give any driveways on that side of Sebastian Boulevard to commercial entities. You don't get any driveways until you get past 510. When you get out there by the Burger King and the school and all, then there's some commercial driveways. But otherwise, there are no commercial driveways on that side. So that could be an explanation on why the access is from Ashbury Boulevard. Some other clarification, the chain link fence is not going to be on the outside of the buffer that you see from the road. It's on the inside of that 20-foot buffer. The area along Ashbury Boulevard, there is some area that is mowed. There is about 10, 15 feet that the gentleman mentioned, but that is part of the right-of-way. That buffer where you see those saw palmettos and those pine trees is part of that 20-foot buffer, their property line. So some of the area is mowed, but that is part of the right-of-way, not necessarily this buffer that we're in. And we will make sure at that final inspection, those saw palmettos are already 5 to 6 feet tall. You are going to see the top of them, top of those RVs and boats, but we'll make sure that there's still that 6-foot opaque, and they're having to plant, if you saw on the landscaping plan, 110 additional trees are also going to be planted in and with on the interior of that buffer, so they see that. We're confident that the buffer is going to work. But I did want to bring something to point in that what staff has reviewed is code compliance with the land development code and the very black and white part of the conditional use criteria. I had pointed out on page 6, and staff does not do this. This is the determination of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Because it is a conditional use, if it was just going to be a permitted use, they wouldn't have come up with this criteria. But you also have that review of, is this so designed, located, and proposed to be operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected? These are some of the more general things that is up to the board to consider if you feel this conditional use meets this and will not affect that neighborhood. So there is, what staff has reviewed and what we're saying is that it meets all the land development code, it meets the specific criteria for the conditional use, and the waiver is also up to you. We noted in our staff report that what the code states is that you can grant the waiver if the requirements of the article places an inordinate burden on the property owner. So if there was an inordinate burden to instead put a wooden fence or PVC fence, that you could grant that waiver. So I did want to just point that out with regards to your consideration tonight. But with regards to the land development code, the specific criteria of the conditional use, staff does feel that this meets those requirements.
Thank you. Deliberation, commissioners. Let's deliberate. No comment? Ms. Geary, any additional comments? No? No? Mr. Rayo? No? Okay. I have additional comments. We are asked to do a job that is much more difficult than it may appear. Time and time again, many of us have been doing this a long time. Time and time again, we find ourselves trying to fit today's lifestyle into yesterday's rules. And we're stuck with some things that really don't work as well as the people back then thought they would. One of those things is to give use of a private road to the general public without being specific as to what purpose. If I ruled the world, I would have considered that a mistake, but we're all really lucky that I don't rule the world. There are a number of anomalies in the city of Sebastian, as there are in any city and in any development, that might deserve changing if we could change them, but some of it is beyond our control and we're just stuck with what it is. As far as fitting the black and white criteria with or without the waiver, I find that, yeah, that's there. As far as the part about determining what is more subjective to us, is that this is asking us to determine that this particular development will be designed and located and proposed to be operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. Does not present unduly adverse effect upon other properties in the impacted area in which it is located. Based on the scale, intensity, and operation, the use shall not generate unreasonable noise, traffic, congestion, or other potential nuisance or hazards to contiguous residential properties, conforms to all applicable provisions of the district in which it is to be located, satisfies specific criteria stipulated for the respective conditional use described above, and is consistent with the Code of Ordinances and Comprehensive Plan. This is asking us to make an opinion. This is the kind of development that is needed and necessary. As many of us here, myself included, we've owned recreational vehicles. We find they don't fit in our personal driveways. We want nice, safe places to store them. This is not a bad development. Our question is it in the right place? And that's all I have to say about it. So I will call for a motion. No motions? No motion?
Dory, may I ask you, the waiver is only for the chain link fence, correct?
The waivers, yes, the code says that you can't have chain link in your front yards. So they could still have it on two sides. They're just so that they are continuous with the same type of fence to do chain link in those two front yards. It'll be the site plan shows that the fence is placed on the interior of the buffer. So you'll have all those plants or the saw palmettos and the new landscaping and then the fence. It's not on the outside visible from the road. That's what the waiver is requesting.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the waiver for the chain link fence at the Amaron Boat and RV Storage, 45 Ashbury Boulevard.
So the motion is just for the waiver, but they won't need the waiver if the site plan, depending on the motion for the site plan.
Well, what order should we do these in?
So I believe the motion, you can make a motion all at once, but if you want to break it up, it should definitely be the conditional use permit. If you deny the conditional use permit, the site plan becomes mute in the waiver. You can do a motion for the site plan and the conditional use. I'll forward that to Jim.
I have a question for our attorney.
I would definitely agree. You could do it together, but if you are going to do it in pieces, conditional use has to go first, and
Okay.
then the waiver, and then the site plan, because the site plan the site plan can only be approved if you've given that conditional use and that
Okay.
waiver, so.
And if I may ask, what happens if we don't have a motion?
Well, you're called to have a motion, so this needs to either be recommended for approval or recommended for denial.
Okay, so we are
to go on
required to
council.
make a motion. Thank you.
So this, I can let you know that this is the quasi judicial, so it is the motion for denial or approval. It doesn't, the site plans do not go on to city council for approval of the site plans.
So we can make a motion to deny it right away, correct?
You can.
So I'll go ahead and I'll make that motion to deny the conditional, was it the conditional approval?
Okay.
Just one point of order, if there's going to be a motion to deny, you have to state the reason for it, because of the rights of the property owner. So you have to say denied for which of the criteria they fall short on.
Can you do that? Can you give us which of the criteria you're making your denial based on?
So it'd be from the letters here, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Or it can also be under additional considerations, number 19.
What happens if they meet all our code, but it's denied anyway?
So I think what Mr. Stokes is saying is that you may find that you're denying it because you may find that the traffic is not going to be good for that based on or it's going to be detrimental to the area. If it's denied, it should have a reason. There is an appeal process. So, we can, if they wish to appeal it, that goes to city council. And that, of course, would be a public hearing, letters go out to surrounding property owners if that is the process. But yes, it should have, which is what staff had stated. In terms of the code, it meets the requirements. It meets the specific requirements of the conditional use. The other criteria that this planning and zoning has to find, that may be what you're denying it on, and that would be what needed to be stated.
Okay.
So I think we discussed 19.197, correct, about the hazardous materials stored on the property was the concern, and then the safety of the residents driving into that development as a safety concern, correct?
Yes, we did.
So would that be what you would, I think I need a little bit more guidance from you here on this one.
When you were making the motion, you can use anything that is under additional considerations, because above 19, that all fits, right?
Correct.
Okay. If you have any concerns about anything after 19, you can make that part of your reason for making a motion for denial. And I would recommend quoting it exactly the way it's written. And if it is, you know, does that help?
I guess I'm not.
Not comfortable?
I guess we had to pick one of them. So
You have to pick it.
I have to pick. It.
No, it could be.
Anybody else?
I'd like to make a motion
Yes, sir?
to approve a new site plan, plus the conditional use permit, plus the waiver request for the Amaron boat and RV storage located at 45 Ashford Boulevard, with all conditions.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call
I'd
vote.
like to make a
Yes, sir.
correction, though. We did have a 6 recommendation as far as no overnight stays.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Okay.
If that's going to be added, if we could just circle that back around to the motion maker and the second
Yeah.
maker
Make it, yeah.
to amend their motion and their
I'll
second.
add the 6th one, no overnight stays.
Okay.
Do you want me to say the whole thing over again?
No, that's
No,
okay.
no, that's fine.
Cindy?
And you agree?
No, Cindy.
Oh, I'm sorry. She agrees. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Ms. Cottenberg?
No.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
Mr. Garton?
No.
Mr. Reno?
Yes.
Ms. Geesey?
No.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
No.
We have 5 no and 2 yes, so the motion does not carry.
Motion is defeated. Okay.
Was approved.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
because this is affirmative relief that the applicant has asked for, you do have to now entertain a motion, another motion, either another motion variation to approve or a motion to deny with a stated reason. But that motion failing does not close this matter. We still need, you need to either approve or deny this item. And voting no on a motion to approve is not the same as a denial. You have to have a motion to deny.
Got it. Got it. Okay. That motion has been denied. Will someone make a motion to deny the,
Or it could be another variation.
Or
I'm not,
another
you know, we don't know
variation.
at this point why
Thank
people
you.
voted no. So
Deny or
I would just
accept?
entertain another motion.
okay. We need another motion.
Okay, I can make the motion to deny the conditional, was it the conditional use permit? Is that what?
You have to deny the whole application.
Yeah, the conditional use application.
Give a reason.
Okay. Does that cover it?
Give a reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Okay, we need a second.
He needs a reason.
He doesn't know.
To deny, he needs a reason.
Do we still need a reason?
Yes, you
Yes.
do, you do have to state a reason.
Okay.
Well, where was that quote about resident safety that we had?
Under 19,
This is the one he needs right here. It's this. No, it's this one right here. You have to.
Which number is this? Okay, so it's 19.1. Planning and Zoning Commission must also find that the proposed
There you
outdoor
go.
storage facility use is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated so that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. And we're saying we denied it
you denied for that reason.
for that reason. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Do we have a second for that?
No.
I'll second it.
Ms. Geesey?
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Okay. Ms. LaRusso?
No.
Ms. Geesey?
I'm sorry, this is to deny. Correct.
A yes vote is to deny it, a no vote is saying no, not to deny.
Again?
If you vote yes for this vote, you're voting to deny.
Yes.
Mr. Reno?
No.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Garten?
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes.
So we have 2 noes and, wait. Mr. Roberts, you made the motion to deny, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Roberts, how do you vote? Oh, we already did that, okay. So we have 5.
The one to deny it.
You want 5 for denial and 2 for non-denial. So this vote passes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for trying so hard. That concludes the business for this evening. This meeting is adjourned.
To make short order of this for your benefit,
Someone please make that
Apparently,
motion.
has to get the meeting back to all set up again.
I move that,
Yeah.
for clar-
we're fine, because we're fine. We're fine.
But I don't have anything on the record.
You just take notes for this. There's no legal requirement that it be recorded or televised or anything. We just need this point of clarification that this item encompassed all 3.
So
So,
Ms. Cottenberg, we need to make a motion that the new.
I can't take shorthand.
You have to do it for 3.
We're denying all 3.
we just need that clarification, and
Yeah.
it can just be a consensus. It doesn't have to be a formal motion or anything, just a consensus on the part of the commission that you were addressing all 3 items, and that
Okay.
they were all denied with that one vote.
So
Just
consensus.
entertain get everyone's concession. If anyone on the commission disagrees
Okay.
with
Does
that.
everybody understand that?
Yes.
That-
I'm sure he read all 3 of them.
The new site plan, the conditional use permit, and the waiver request for this.
The intent was to cover all 3. Okay. Everybody understand that here?
Yes.
I second that.
And that's exactly what we all agreed to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except those who voted the other way didn't agree to that.
He said we could do a voice vote for this.
You couldn't have the waiver without the.
Do we need to have a
Right,
voice vote
and
on
you
that?
don't have to do a roll call, just a consensus vote, so just,
Okay. Consensus.
Now, what is
Okay.
the consensus vote?
Yes, because it's just a procedural issue. This isn't something, it's procedural that they're agreeing that vote was for all 3 items.
And I'll put that in the notes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so now all 3 items are disposed of.
Thank you.
And now, thank you.
Wow.
Oh, my God.